Good evening, everyone. I'm Rakhi Gautam from greytHR, the moderator for this Parichay webinar session today. Thank you so much for joining us. And on this 92nd episode of this webinar, I should highlight that. And it's been made possible because all of you join us on these regular sessions, make it more interesting with your participation, your questions, the engagement that we have. And we are looking forward to having just that today as well. Feel free to ask questions, put in your questions in the panel, which is there, and give reactions as well. Let us know how you are feeling about the session as we proceed with our discussion. So I see we already have the forum with us to start the session. As you all are aware, our session is going to be on the talent war. How do we win this talent war, right? What are the smart hiring strategies that we can use in this competitive world today? And we have with us two experts who have joined us on this wonderful discussion that we'll have. But before I jump onto that, I just want to quickly give you an overview of how the session will go. The session is divided in two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. So audience Q&A is where time is all yours. You can start putting across your questions and we will take them up towards the end of this discussion. Also, this session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We have got you covered. We'll share this recording with all of you by next week. And this will also be available on greytHR's official YouTube channel under the playlist Parichay. So you can always go there and watch it later. Now, I think we can move forward with our discussion today. What we will be discussing about this winning talent war is, we all know today's hiring landscape is more dynamic and competitive than ever, from changing candidate experiences to technological disruptions that we have been seeing majorly happening in the last 5 years, and a shrinking skilled talent pool. HR leaders are always or somewhat under pressure to reimagine their hiring, not just as a process, but as a strategic advantage. And in this discussion today, we'll be covering some 5 key areas, which are, of course, how do we create a winning employer brand? Because, that will be the first impression that a potential candidate will have of your company, right? How do, these modern recruitment strategies work? Which one would work better for you as an organization? And of course, when we talk about technology, anything that we talk about today, right, cannot be talked about until and unless we have touched upon data and insights. So that is something that we'll be covering. Along with that, of course, how can we attract talent in a hyper competitive market? And of course, challenges that we face, and how can we avoid those challenges, those common pitfalls that generally happens in the process of talent acquisition. Now, there's a lot that we're going to be covering today, right? So, and how do we do that? We have two accomplished leaders with us, and we are thrilled to have them here on board with us, who will, who of course brings a wealth of experience in talent acquisition, employer branding, and early career strategies. They'll share their insights backed by real world experiences and data to help you prepare for what's coming next. Let's get started. But of course, before that, let me just quickly take you all through their profiles as well. We have with us Ms. Neha Vyas, who's joined us as from Pattern Technologies, where she serves as the Director of Employer Branding. Neha comes with an experience of over 16 years in talent management, and she believes that every individual is not just a resource, but a valued human being. Of course, currently she serves as the Director Employer Branding at Pattern Technologies, having recently transitioned from the role of Director Talent Acquisition. In a new position, Neha plays a key role in bridging the connection between the organization, its employees, and prospective talent, fostering a culture that reflects shared values and supports growth for all. Neha is passionate about empowering and nurturing talent, recognizing the unique qualities that make each individual extraordinary. She is committed to creating environments where people can flourish, bring their best selves to the workplace, and become enablers of the organization's success. Thank you so much, Neha, for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you.
Great. Now we have another fantastic speaker who's joined us, Harsha Bhosale. She's a highly accomplished HR professional with around 21 years of rich experience across multiple industries. She has successfully led critical HR functions, including strategic initiatives, diversity, equity, and inclusion, leadership development, employee relations, and talent management, while ensuring full statutory and legal compliance as well. A proven change agent, Harsha has spearheaded organizational transformation by cultivating trust, effective communication, and coaching across top tier companies such as EY, Caterpillar, and Accenture. Her expertise encompasses talent acquisition, competency framework, succession planning, organizational development, and business partnering, with a consistent focus on aligning HR strategies with overall business objectives. Renowned for her hands on approach, cross cultural collaboration, and strong problem solving capabilities, Harsha combines operational experience with strategic insight to drive sustainable business growth. Thank you so much, Harsha, for joining us here today. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you.
Great. Now that the introductions are over, and I'm sure this has, doubled your excitement for this session today, let's start with you. We don't want to jump onto the questions right away. We want to understand your perspective. So I'm just going to launch a poll now. And I would urge each one of you to participate in this poll. It's not a right or a wrong question. This is just to understand your perspective when it comes to today's talent market. So, what is your biggest challenge in today's talent market? Is it finding skilled candidates fast, standing out as an employer of choice, high candidate drop offs during the process, converting interns or freshers into long term hires, or lack of data or tools to make hiring decisions? I see 20% of you have already participated. The rest of you, let's not make this session, one way. We want to make it transactional. The communication should flow from both the parties. So each one of you, please participate in this, because this will help us set the context for this discussion today, and we'll tailor our responses based on your experiences that you have been facing when it comes to talent acquisition today. We'll have this for another 10 seconds and we'll end the poll then. Okay, let me end the poll now. Thank you to all 70% of you who participated, and share the results with all of you too. So the majority of you, 48%, said finding skilled candidates fast. I think this is something that hasn't changed in the last decades or so. 30% says high candidate drop-offs during the process. 9% converting interns or freshers into long-term hires. 7% standing out as an employer of choice, and some 6% of you say lack of data or tools to make hiring decisions. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating in this. And let me start with the first question to Harsha. So, let's, of course, start with the big picture. The hiring landscape is shifting rapidly, of course, we know, rising attrition, evolving skill sets, and demand for flexibility, both from the employers as well as the employees' side, right? So from your lens, what are the top trends that you see are shaping the future of recruitment today?
Okay, so I must say this, that first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And things in today's world are evolving. I don't know at what rate. I really don't have adjectives for that. But if I were to put this into my experience with so many great companies, fortunately, that I have got a chance to work with, and having led recruiting and talent consulting across diverse markets within JPAC, from diverse economies to high growth clusters, what's clear is that the hiring landscape is no longer just evolving, right? It's actually transforming, right? And it is, the adjective that I would like to use, it's at an exponential pace, right? So one major shift that I would say is that there is hiring for adaptability today. So the adaptability has to be according to the markets, according to the conditions. It's not just technical expertise, it is complete adaptability, right? So one such example, if I were to give you, is while I was at EY, where I was overseeing the talent strategy for 4 or 5 thousand employees. We saw that we needed to embed the agility and the change readiness as a core hiring criteria while we were hiring and while we were retaining and keeping most importantly, retaining those employees, right? And in fast changing markets like Southeast Asia, now I'm shifting gears to Caterpillar, this helped, this the same strategy helped me ensure talent could grow in the business. So it's, you understand the adaptability to, it's irrespective of the kind of organization that you work for, financial services, manufacturing, or product, which is Oracle right now, right? So another critical evolution that I can talk about is the demand for inclusive hiring, right? And which was my which was my role that I was playing at Oracle right before the one that I'm playing right now, right? So when we speak about demand for inclusive hiring that meets the local context yet aligns with the global strategy, that is another adaptability that we need to all look at while we talk about evolution, right? Talk about evolving market trends, right? So while I was at Accenture and I was leading D&I, inclusion and diversity at Accenture, and today the word is not diversity. We speak about culture and inclusion, right? At this time, I had the opportunity to work across, different geographies within India, but the market was complex. And there was Sri Lanka as well in there. But the unique socio-cultural norms were again different. So I'm putting geographies, functions, markets, marketplaces, everything. But the key is that one size never fits all. So the locally resonating strategy always will upheld or uphold the global equity standards. That's what we all need to keep in mind, right? And to stay ahead, recruiters, talent managers, talent leaders, we all need to think like workforce futurists, right? And we need to tap into the emerging skills. The if you know of the word, which is very interesting that I heard of, it's called taxonomies, right? Partner with the business. Look at the economies, the whole equation that we need to understand. Partner with the business leaders, the deeper workforce planning. So we are no more in the strategic workforce planning era. We are in the emerging workforce planning era. Stay close to the talent analytics and forecast. Not just report. We need to do trend analysis. I know I spoke a lot of jargons and a lot of things, but I think we need all of that, like a combination of things.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for that, Harsha, and actually bringing in, your personal experiences as well while dealing with talent acquisition and planning, for the next line of talent. I really liked how you also talked about and focused, in fact, on sustaining that talent, retaining that talent, right? Because what happens generally when we talk about talent acquisition, it all becomes about new hiring, right? But what happens when somebody who is already there in the system? How do we nurture them? How do we give them the experiences that they're looking to gain here at your organization? And then of course you talked about adaptability, which is, I think, key for everything today. We need to be adaptive to the changing market, the changing new emerging technologies that are coming in. And how do we not just embrace the technology, but also at the same time upskill and rescale our employees also, to be in line with that technology. You also talked about how we also have to have a lot of flexibility that we provide to our employees, and not just as a company based out of India, but when we go global, right? There's different regions that we're targeting, the different kind of people, experiences that they bring. You touched upon having inclusivity in the hiring process, which is so very important these days. And I'm glad to, have DEIB as, one of the perspective in the first question as well, because it all makes the conversation more meaningful when we bring in, diversity into this. So thank you so much for all that, insights that you shared, Harsha. Now coming to you, Neha, of course, we'll go deeper into what Harsha talked about. But before that, Neha, to you, when we go about any talent acquisition process, right? When we think of strategies, when we think of ways to enhance those candidate experiences, one thing that comes into the picture, and that is something that's been there since the very start, is employer branding, right? And I want to quote one report that from LinkedIn that suggests that 75% of candidates evaluate a company's brand before even applying, right? So there's, of course, one way that you're reaching out to these candidates yourself. But then have you built a brand like that where people want to work for you, right? Where they actively search for your, company's name on Google, they go to your socials and see the kind of experiences that you're providing to your employees, the kind of culture that you have. And that's where employer branding comes into. So what are the key pillars of a compelling employer brand today that we all need to keep in mind, especially when targeting digital native talent? We know that everything's digitally available right now, right? So there's a lot of information overload also at times that happens. It's not just your social media profiles that you're highlighting, it's also other people, how they are talking, what they are talking about you, the other channels. So what are the key pillars of a strong employer brand today?
Yeah. Thanks, Ragi. And this question is really near to my heart. Be- Not because I'm into employer branding, but because all of us, when we are looking for a job, we would have gone to the company profile. We would have contacted few of the candidates who are working there. We all have done that. And I think LinkedIn says 75%, but numbers are really high. And we are talking about a digital age. Before this, even people used to go and talk to their employees. Before also the same things were happening, not on the digital methods. And when we are talking about the employer branding and the key pillar, I will tell you one example of how it impacted. Uh, so when 2021 pattern started in India, my offer rejection were about 40%. And we did all the kind of analytics and we understood that the problem is people don't know about us. The problem is employer branding. And we were new to India. And we also went to our existing employees and we also understood that why they want to work with us. Because end of the day, they are our brand assets. They are the one who are going to influence others. So and then we designed our brand strategy based on the authenticity, and which is the main pillar. Your employee experience, your authenticity, nobody is going to take it away. And there are many companies who are spending a lot in doing podcast, in doing all the kind of videos, walk through a day, everything they are doing, but they're not able to create that brand image which employee creates, their experience create. So authenticity is the only one key pillar which helps them. Other than that, you can talk about many things, that you can have an influencer program, you can have any program related with that, but without the employee's happiness, you will not be able to perform that. So, and I'm really happy to say that we are able to achieve retention as well as drop in the offer rejections less than 2%. So.
Oh, great. Thank you for that, Neha. And I really liked how you simplified it, just simply, right? You said, okay, authenticity is the key pillar, which I think everybody would agree here. And if you do agree, our audience do give us a thumbs up in the reaction. I do agree that authenticity is one thing that makes anything, possible and give a good experience. Because when we talk about authenticity, it automatically gives more credibility to your brand, right? And when we talk about talent acquisition, we're talking about potential employees. Now, if our employees have that, great experience, right, when they are working in our company and they say that my company provides flexibility, my company provides, learning and growth opportunities, my company provides regular feedback, my company tells me that, okay, this is where you stand, this is what needs to be done. I know my role at my company, and my experience is just simply great. That means that the employees are happy, they're going to advocate about your company on socials, digitally, that we talked about how everything's available digitally, right? So if we have that great employee experience already built in our company, we can have a great employer branding. And of course, candidates would want to work with us because if we have that, we have the first experience sorted for our candidates also. So thank you so much for that, Neha, and thanks to our audience also who highlighted about them also agreeing on this point. Thank you so much. Now, moving on to my next question to you, Harsha. We talked about employer branding and have a good experience, not just for our employees, but also giving that great experience to the candidate. And it all starts from the very first call or the very first email interaction that we do, right? If we get a call from an HR and they say that, okay, this, I went through your profile, we liked it, we would want to, proceed with the next steps. And then after that, if we don't get back to them for say another 3 days or 4 days, there's no update. Of course, I already feel dejected. Like, what is this experience that you're giving me, right? Now, so that's what it comes to, right? Once candidates engage, experiences become everything, right? So what are some proven ways that you would want to highlight that organizations can take to streamline their hiring journey for these candidates to reduce drop off, especially in early career and fresher recruitment? Because I don't want to say it like that, okay, freshers have less patience, but then we do often see the pattern with these freshers and early takers. So in that case, what are some strategies that you would recommend in order to improve and enhance their candidate experience?
Okay, I think great question first of all, and I think this is the latest assignment that I have to be a part of this whole fresh fresh perspective with the early career talent, right? And it's quite exciting, I must tell you, because they bring so much energy to the table, right? And I know the first step is always to bring them on board. And if I have to say that I've seen firsthand, so in my current role, I do not hire them, but I engage them after they are onboarded. But in my first-hand experience with the early career candidates while I was in Caterpillar, where I actually traveled to different geographies hiring them. I mean, I can tell you, Indonesia, China, India, different candidates of different geographies, different expectations. But the expectations, like you said, would be similar because it's human tendency to expect that the first few moments of interaction should be pleasant and will be remembered, right? So I must often the decisions that we make within moments and months, it's just within moments and it's not months, that this is my first interaction with an organization and that's it. I know what I want to do after that, right? So the three things that I swear by that the early career talent expects from us as an employer are, uh, you know, clarity, uh, yeah, some sort of empathy and speed. Speed, very important, right? And so for that reason, one impactful strategy that I would say is hyper personalized communication, right? They need that. And yes, I'm using the terminology that we definitely need to communicate, maybe over personally communicate to them. It cannot be a generalized communication that you can say, right? And now during my time at Oracle, when I'm working with the early career talent, I see that building anything like journey maps, mirrored marketing funnels for them, and I'm sure Neha will understand what I'm trying to say here, and for all of us here, automating the touch points, but yet humanizing every interaction is what works. I know that when we are interacting thousands of people together, and when we know that the campus hires are around 30 to 40%, sometimes even more for some organizations, consulting organizations, it's not possible to humanize every interaction. But even while we are automating, finding ways to humanize will be the key, right? For instance, a simple what to expect in your assessment, what to expect, that kind of a video will increase the conversion rate for the campus hires to apply to your particular requisition or to your organization by at least 20%. And that's a proven study, I must tell you that, right? Another way is by removing all hidden complexities in assessments. They do not like that, right? Um, I have also experienced this that there was a time when I have with my team we redesigned our early career assessment framework to make it more skill focused and less jargon heavy. When we keep it more skill focused and less jargon heavy, what happens is they are able to understand that we are more interested in a futuristic view, right? So this made it also more inclusive, and especially for the first generation graduates. So I think very simple tips, but it helps for us to bring the right people on board.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Harsha. And I would really want to highlight the part that you mentioned about making the experience hyper personalized, because that's really important, right? Because what happens, you not everybody has the same experiences, not everybody has the same expectations. So you can't have the same conversation with different sets of people, and pitching the same thing. So it's important that we make that hyper personalized and give them that hyper personalized experience. You also touched upon being clear and transparent, which is so very important, right? We don't have to have these very, like, say, jargons, or say very we love to use the word innovation these days, right? And we want to make everything innovative, but until we make it clear also for the other person to understand, they'll not be able to relate to that, they'll not be able to resonate with that, and then there will be those miscommunication, those gaps will be there. So thank you so much for highlighting all of that, and I hope our audience has taken notes, because it is so very important that we implement that in our hiring strategies as well, especially when we're speaking to these early career and freshers in the market. Now, this is just to remind again to everybody in the audience. I'm sure you have a lot of your colleagues who would want to join this session and they can benefit from this. You can still share this link with them. They should be able to join it live. Now, before I move on to the next question, I want to understand another perspective from our audience, and I'm just going to launch one poll. And I would urge each one of you to participate. Last time we had 70% of participation. This time, if we can make it at least 85, that would be great and very encouraging also. So what aspect of your hiring strategy needs the most improvement? Because we are talking about it, right? So, and some of these, options we've already discussed, but for you to, and for us to make this conversation forward, we would want your participation here. Is it employer branding, screening and shortlisting? Is it interview experience that we talked about, the candidate experience that we provide, offer to joining conversion? Now, that's another pain point or a great challenge that HR, generally faces, and how we can, have more clarity here, how we can make it, better for them, how we can provide them with great clarity is what is required here. The other thing is, the other option is use of recruitment technology. That is something, as we have seen, right? Whenever anything that we talk about can't be completed until we talk about technology. So why can't, and why shouldn't we have technology in our hiring process as well? So these are the 5 options. I would urge each one of you to participate. Another 10 seconds. I see only 65% of you have participated till now. At least we want to have 85% participation. I hope all of you are active. You are giving a lot of reactions, which we appreciate. But this is to understand your perspective better and to provide you with better insights. So please do participate. Okay, I'll end the poll now. I think we have gotten the responses. So, of course, 37% of you say employer branding. We touched upon it, and we are going to be discussing more on it. Some 20% of you are seeing screening and shortlisting. 18% is use of recruitment technology. 13% offer to joining conversion, and 12% is interview experience. I can share the result with all of you quickly. So you can see it here, right? Thank you so much once again for participating in this. And I'm coming to my next question, and I see that employer branding has gotten the maximum vote. So let's start with that. To you, Neha, my question is, authentic storytelling is becoming a powerful tool that we know in recruitment marketing, right? So how can organizations use storytelling, a very credible, authentic storytelling, to create that deeper emotional connect with the potential candidates? Of course, we talk about employee experiences after they're onboarded, right? But before, how can we build that with the help of great storytelling and authentic storytelling? Over to you.
Thanks, Rai. So, Raki, I'll start from why did I shifted to employer branding? I'll give you some examples. So, when we started Pattern, the biggest challenge, as I already told you, that hiring people. So, I didn't understand what employer branding is. So employer branding is something very new, which everybody is talking right now. But if we talk about 16 years back, nobody talks about it. Nobody understood the importance of it. But we all are doing the same thing. We all are doing employer branding. Each and every recruiter is doing employer branding. Because the solution which I found of the reason people don't know about us, that's why they are declining the offer. But instead of waiting for to get testimonials, and we also have targets, we have to close those positions, and creating videos and all these things need budgets and they need time. So keeping two things at the same time, it's really challenging. So first thing which is very important is authentic story building. Okay, making sure it. So when you're authentic, it builds trust, and your narrative should be consistent. It should not be that you made a story and start telling it, and in between you forget that okay, what was the story is. So it should not be happening. You lose trust of employees as well as the potential employees. So it creates an environment where people will like to join if you give them the real consistent story, the real experience of the employees. It can go through testimony, it can go through a day in organization, it can go through your Instagram, it can go through your YouTube, LinkedIn. There are many ways you can touch upon it. But if you are not having any specific employer branding team, being a talent acquisition person, that time what I was doing is that I would try to educate more to the candidates, as much information as I can provide, plus adding them to the employees, or asking them, okay, you might have somebody in your LinkedIn connection. If you want, you can verify that does my organization offer the same benefits, or are we really giving the work-life balance? You can go and authenticate it from anywhere. This thing really simply helped me. I was not having that time testimonials. I was not having many videos, but making sure that they get in touch with the employees who are existing employees, working with them, it really helped, and it made wonders. So authentic storytelling is really important, making sure that people share their stories. But if you are not having the resources right now, make sure you are giving them opportunity to contact the employees, existing employees. And don't be biased on that, because sometimes it happened that, okay, this person is going to say good things about my organization, should I put this person up front? It's not, it doesn't work like that. Give them the space. Call them to office. That's the best strategy which I have seen. When people come to office, when they see the environment, when they see how the people are working, it makes a change. So this tells the real story, how the company is working. And I will give you one of my example. I went for an interview in the organization, and I was waiting at the reception area. Everybody on the floor was just looking into the screen. Nobody even smiling. It made me feel out of place. And the only thing which was coming into my mind, how fast I can complete this process and get out of this office. So this small details really helps. It builds your story.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Neha. And it helps, right? And you started off with authenticity and, your employees being your advocates, which is so very important. And it's not about the story that you build, that you said that, okay, we'll create a video and put it on socials and say that, okay, this is the culture that we have at our organization. Until that culture is actually being lived by the employees who are there, they're actually happy with that culture. They have these, those interactions on a daily basis. It's not just looking blank at the screen and not having those personal connections, of course, dims down that employee experience. So thank you so much for, highlighting that it's very important to be authentic and do what you say, right? What you are portraying in your socials, on your, branding campaigns that you're doing, until your employee feels that way, that all goes down the drain. So it's important to build that credibility through having that culture, having that transparency, and having that connection built with your employees. So thank you so much for highlighting that. Now, the other option that got the maximum vote was use of recruitment technology, right? So let's talk about technology here. I want to quote another report that says from Naukri, that says over 60% of Indian employers plan to invest in AI-driven recruitment tools in 2025. But again, when it comes to technology, that's again a great subject for HR professionals also these days, and we've been experimenting with technology. But artificial intelligence again is something that's been fairly new in the business, right? That's been fairly new, and in the last 2 to 3 years, we have seen conversations, we have seen processes inbuilt with AI. So what's your take on this, Harsha? How can technology be how can we use and implement technology to transform our hiring from sourcing to screening and beyond?
Thank you. I think most expected question, if I may say that, right? In every place we go and everywhere we are today, we are speaking about AI. Pretty much has become a way of life, and not to scare everybody away, but if by end of 2026, if we do not have some kind of an AI skill, a part of our jobs might actually, and do not quote me on this, but I'm saying it in front of more than 200 people here, uh, but yes, that could possibly happen. Could that a part of our jobs could actually become redundant if we do not have some kind of an AI skill, or we haven't trained ourselves on that, because we are depending on AI on in some form or fashion right now, right? So that is the way we are living today. Having said that, in the recruiting world, we use the robotic capabilities, if I have to say that, in some form or fashion in the RPA. I mean, that is the minuscule way of getting there, right? So, RPA could be used in the most basic manner to screen candidates, right? We're using a very, very simple criteria. That is where we begin. And I'm sure we are you doing that for many, many zillion years. But then the most advanced form of using AI today is, we getting into the advanced stage of it. If you were to get into DAI, then the AI tools help us anonymize candidate profiles, to reduce the unconscious bias. That's the world that we are living in today. So the result, we could actually get a measurable improvement in gender balanced shortlists for tech roles. There are tools that can actually make the language that you write on the job description sound more neutral and not inclining towards a certain gender. Did you know about that? So those are the kind of tools that we can use to even write job descriptions, right? Machine learning, as advanced as it may sound, can be actually leveraged to map internal mobility pathways. What I'm trying to say, to simplify it, is we can actually essentially predict which candidate can thrive in a adjacent or an alternate job or a role. So basically, if I'm not fit to job A, which which other job can I fit into? That means AI has already saved a particular job that job description in there, and candidate A was not fitting into this particular job. So yes, his proficiencies, experience, candidature fits into this particular job. So it will immediately leverage and tell you and send you a note saying that there is an adjacent role, and that is advanced machine learning that can accelerate career growth of internal and external people and reduce external hiring needs as well. That is how advanced AI is today. But let's be clear about one thing, that AI can only augment, not replace. Okay, so and it definitely cannot replace human judgment, especially when it comes to our mindset, inclusive mindset. And I'm saying a lot of inclusive the word inclusive a lot, but I'm saying especially our mindset, judgment. Technology actually is something that can continuously refine our judgment, can continuously audit what we have already done, and can reinforce what we are already doing, even our biases for that matter. Right? So if we pair technology with what we are already doing, it can refine and create governance in our systems and in our ongoing calibrations, and not really be the way of life. That is what my understanding of it is. Because what I have essentially seen in the whole recruiting process is that we could get a bunch of candidates and they could actually fall through the cracks because we have very refined pathways that we clearly mention that I want A, B, and C, and if A is written as, you know, as a particular word like CYCLE, and if it is written as CYCL, E is missing, then the candidate just goes away. So one human error can actually cost you your career. Could happen. So, that's what it is. So yes, definitely something that I wanted to call. So AI is not intelligent. We are. That's why it is artificial intelligence. Sorry
Yeah.
to crack
No,
that
no,
bad one.
great.
Yes, that's what it is.
Great perspective, and that's a great perspective, and that is something that I'll also want to take away from this conversation today as one of the highlights, because we talk about having technology in HR processes, but how do we actually do that? And we just talked about one function here, which is talent acquisition and the hiring processes, and you have given us such great insights onto this. Like AI can subconsciously remove those biases that we can have, right? Or AI can write your job descriptions. AI can enhance upon the experience that we want to provide to the candidate. Also help us see the pattern internally as to what is the experience of a particular person, of an employee, and where they might be heading, right? Or where other option can be given to them in terms of career growth, or skill sets, and things on that. But and at the same time, we've also very rightly talked about how it cannot take away the human intervention which is there, right? Which is so very crucial, because as you rightly mentioned, artificial intelligence is made by humans, and it's artificial, right? We are intelligent, and that's why it's called artificial intelligence. So it's very important to have technology in your processes to provide great experience, to reinforce, to redefine, to refine the processes which are there. But of course, human intervention is also so very important. And that is the other question that I would want to highlight and ask you, Neha, is of course there's been a growing concern, and not just in the HR space, overall also, right? There are a lot of these questions that pop up on our minds often, is that, okay, is AI going to take away my job, right? And chat GPT was one catalyst to that thought, I think, back in 2022, that like just everybody asking, is it going to take away my job? But clearly not, right? So uh, how how do we strike the right balance between personalization and efficiency? Because when we talk about personalization, of course it can help, we can build that through technology, but of course human intervention is required there. And efficiency, of course, we can say heavily, majorly depend on technology for that. So how do we strike the right balance? How do we find the balance between the two, so that the experience that we provide to the candidate and our employees at the end of the day is wholesome, is something that we would want to understand from you.
Okay. So Raki, when we talk about AI and all the technology part, whenever something new comes up, people get worried. So it's a human nature. You can't means when calculator came in, people got worried that calculator is going to take job of the banking professionals. It didn't take away. We have just changed our way of thinking. The right now, I think it is going to take away few jobs, and the jobs which can be defined as JD. If your JD can be easily defined, it can be easily automated. To be very frank, the main skill which everybody needs is dealing with ambiguity. How you deal with the situation, how you deal with the ambiguity, that's the important thing. And when it comes to hiring and recruitment, you can't take away the human touch, because you're not hiring machines, you're hiring humans. You have to make sure that they feel belonged. And this is the same challenge when people are talking about the Gen Zs. Actually, there's nothing, I don't believe on this all terminologies, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, because these are the people who are, so when we were in schools, I didn't had the mobile phone. I got mobile phone when I was in college. Now, when we are talking about Gen Zs, they had mobile phone from their school days. It keep on changing. They are more evolved. They are more purpose driven, and they are looking for flexibility. So everything is changing, but we have to understand that it's a human touch, and how we are designing our policies around that. Maybe it's we can say it's more transparent right now. Everything is available online. Everything we can search. But at the same time, when we are making any decisions, we are just not, we can't be dependent on AI. You have to have the data, plus you have to have human creativity. So one solution will not fix to all these problems. We can have different kind of solutions. We can have different kind of things customized as per our requirement. And that is what more important. Uh, so sorry for talking about more on Gen Zs and other things, but this is the fact. No job is, if you are ready to learn, your job is secure. If you are ready to deal with ambiguity, your job is secure. So be ready to learn, be ready to experiment with things, and keep using AI.
Very well said, I must say, Neha. And thank you so much for also highlighting about Gen Zs and their expectations, right? Because we're talking about an evolving era, right? And when the era is evolving, the world is evolving, the market is evolving, so are the people, so are the potential candidates, so are the employees, right? So it's important that we highlight, okay, Gen Z's preferences are these. And so, and you talked about having the right balance between technology and, human intervention, because humans make everything more human, right? And at the end of the day, that is the experience that we want to provide to our candidates. We can take data from these tools, from these technologies. We can see and observe the pattern from those data and technology, but at the end of the day, it's the HR teams, it's the managers, it's the employees who go and have those conversations, right? So until we go and act upon that data that's been provided to us through this technology or through this tool, will not be able to make any meaningful contributions and have those meaningful conversations, right? So, of course, we can take data, we can take insights, we can take and observe patterns from technology, but at the same time, it's our HR professionals, our HR teams, our manager and employee relations that have to come into the picture to actually drive then the other objective, drive those success, drive those conversations. So thank you so much, Neha, for highlighting that. And it's been a wonderful conversation today. There's so much that we learned, so much, you know, um, newness that we brought to this conversation today. And I'm really grateful to both of you for sharing all the great insights that you did. Now we have a lot of you also on call, and I'm happy to assume that you liked the conversation and you understood everything from start to finish, and that's why I don't see any questions right now. No, I'm seeing, I've started seeing the questions. Okay, great. Then let's keep the questions coming. We have another 10 to 15 minutes with us, and any other question apart from the discussion that we have today is something that you would want to understand. Instead of raising your hand, you can just put your question in the Q&A option, which is available on your screen, and we will take them up one by one. Also, towards the end of the session, we have something exciting to announce. So please stay tuned and do not leave until the session is completely over. Now, I have the first question from Ramya. The question is on employer branding, but from a small organization's perspective. So how to build employer branding such that candidates are interested to apply, especially when you are a small organization. So Neha, Harsha, whoever you want to take this.
Can I take this?
Sure, please.
So when we are talking about the small organization, generally when we are talking about in small organization, it's 20 to 30 people organization. So what you can do is that you can bring those candidates to the office. Okay? Because once they come to office, they will see the environment, because your environment talks a lot about you. You can lie from words, but you can't give that experience to someone. So once they experience the environment, that is first tick done. Second thing, they will see that how much companies are thinking about the employees. Small details makes a difference. How you are treating that candidate makes a big difference. Third thing, make sure that this person meets with the leadership. When I'm saying leadership, I'm not just talking about the CEO or senior management. I'm talking about the people who are handling teams. Okay, maybe you can ask that person to come for a coffee, have a round table kind of setup where it's not an interview, it's just a setup They can talk. They can talk about the family. They can talk about anything they like. Okay, it should not be a structured thing. It creates the confidence, because if your employees are talking confidently about their life, this person will feel more confident in joining your organization. It will have that personal connect. Or if this person is not ready to join, this person is going to recommend others to your organization. And this is the relationship. Means I have worked with many startups since start of my career. I was lucky in that, because in startups or small organization, you can experiment more. And this thing always works. I'm still in touch with the people who I've hired 16 years back. This kind of relationship which we have built, still I can give them a call and say that this is the challenge I'm facing. Can you help me? And they are ready to help. So this is just my 2 cents. You can customize it as per your requirement.
Very valid. Thank you so much, Neha, for that. And that resonated really well and loud. So thank you for highlighting. And personalization is the key. Providing good experience is the key. Actually, doing what you say is the key. So thank you so much for highlighting that. Moving on to the next question. But before that, I would want to highlight one feedback that we have received from our attendee here, Richa. She's saying, very interesting discussion. Time flew by today. Thanks, Neha and Harsha, for sharing your experiences, and thanks, Rakhi, for making it engaging. So thank you so much, Richa, for being here with us today. It's these kind of feedback that motivates us to keep having these meaningful conversations. So thank you so much. Moving on to the next question, which is from an anonymous attendee: how to work on the offer to joining conversions. So Harsha, would you want to take this one up?
Sure, sure. So a lot of ways. I think so many ways, right? So from a very contemporary perspective, uh, in today's world, if we want to make that question more stronger, need to strengthen the pre-joining engagement perspective itself by personalizing the communication, looking at whatever works for your organization. One solution does not work for all, so look at how technology can play a good role out there in terms of if there is an onboarding portal access, how you can make it more user friendly. Look at the multi-generational diversity in your organization. So hence, cater to that program. Do you need a buddy program? Do you need a pre-onboarding, post-onboarding program? How can you reduce the time lag and uncertainty of what we spoke about, the communication, right? How can it be fast? The offer process can be fast, transparent follow-up communication. How can you reinforce the whole value proposition of your company, highlight the growth perspective, the culture? How can you actually reduce the drop-off, right? And if there are drop-offs and if you're seeing that, how can you track that and make it better? So get back. That is really important. Involve the hiring managers and leaders. By the way, there is a question about retention. I'm answering a little bit of that as well, and I'm going to segue into this in this way, right? You need to increase some of the touch points, right? Involve the hiring managers. It is important in your pre-onboarding and post-onboarding, your hiring manager needs to be as involved. It's important that there is a when we speak about branding, your branding message has to be loud and clear. So you need to be loud and clear about speaking proudly and loudly. I say this a lot about your organization, about your leadership welcome, about how your CEO and your leadership is speaking so much about the culture of the organization, the career development opportunities, the inclusion, and how the senior leaders reinforce that the company values uh, are as much instilled in them as much they speak about, in the company journals and websites, right? Virtual meetups are nice, informal sessions. I'm giving you a laundry list and you can decide of what you want. This also applies to the employees who are already in the organization. One tip that I would like to give is when you have a community feel in the organization, it really feels great. So for early campus joiners or rather early talent, it's Slack channels, they build a sense of community. Even before joining and after joining, they like that whole community feel. So the communication keeps flowing. What I'm trying to say in summary is that the key to improving the whole experience of people, even before joining or after they join, is to treat them and not have a waiting period in communication. But when we speak specifically about the pre-joining, the strategic phase is to build excitement, trust, and commitment with them about the organization. The commitment stays even after they join, and that's where you retain them. The big part is you retain the employee for a longer time in the first 6 months of their stay. I think that's about it. Actually, that's what happens. If they leave, they are actually leaving for very different reasons, like a bad relationship with their manager or XYZ reasons. The organizational reasons, they can be taken care of in the first 6 months. I think that is absolutely proven, and that's what happens.
Thank you so much for that, Harsha. Very valid. And this is what all the points that you shared, of course, not just, as you said, right, not just applies to the pre-joiners, but also to our existing employees who we want to retain. So thank you so much for highlighting that. And I hope everybody's taken notes because this is very, very important. Now, coming to the next question, I see a lot of repetitive questions, so I'm just going to, club those together. There's one question from Aisha SK that says, employer branding, D&I, building, and culture starts from top management and leaders. And I think a lot of us here would agree on that. What is your stand on that in perspective of organizations, say 100 to 150 manpower, especially in construction industry? Maybe the question also is, there's another question that says, how can we convince our management to support employer branding initiatives, right? So your take on that.
Okay. So to be very frank, if your management is not supporting, you should question them, because they are asking you to close a position. They are asking you to retain the employees. And if they are not supporting, it means they are not trusting their own organization. This is a question we have to ask to them, because you can't create a culture. A single person can't create a culture. You can try, you can help other out, but if there nobody trusts in the organization and you have tried everything, communication is the key. Communicate with them, make them understand, show them data. If they still don't understand, this is not even the right place for you.
Very valid
Because
and spot on.
yeah, because data speaks louder than anything. If they don't understand even after seeing the data, why we are working for those people?
Very, very valid. And thank you so much, Neha, for that. And I think we just need a confidence boost and to have that transparent conversation, not just with the employees, but with the leadership as well, so that they get the right picture as to how your company is being perceived and what needs to be done to build a more credible, authentic, and a stronger, employer brand when it comes to your organization. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Now, moving on to I see a lot of these repetitive questions on remote hiring and what can be strategies, what can be those talent acquisition strategies there. So there's one question from Shefali Arya that says, what if our employees are deployed at different locations? And this can be applied to pre-joiners as well. There's another question that I would want to highlight is from Tulika, if a company operates in a fully remote working model, how would you contribute to enhancing our employer branding beyond leveraging social media and professional networking platforms? There's another question that I would want to, club in here is, there was one question, yes, from Pawan that says, what are the strategies to recruit people in areas like Assam, Ranchi, or other remote areas, right? So maybe, Harsha, would you want to take this one up? I just thought I'll club the questions and we can take it up.
Sure, I can take the, it's irrespective of, a particular location that we're talking about, like specifically Assam, Ranchi, or anything like that. But what I'm trying to say is, when we're speaking about locations where the talent pipelines or the talent inflow is lower, right? And the markets, if either have localized or rather relationship driven flexible strategies, right? These markets often have high potential but are untapped. That also could happen because of infrastructure or location related reasons. What are the effective ways to go there is need look at local partnerships, building local partnerships, right? Because there are definitely options like early college or rather early career talent tapping like the ITIs, polytechnics, training institutes where you can conduct career workshops, campus hiring drives, job readiness workshops. Start early. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Partnering with NGOs, agencies, government organizations. What happens is when you look at pre-trained talent, when you start there, that is where your organization can tap into the talent which has never been tapped by bigger organizations. I know that many organizations, like even Oracle, we look at the top tier premium schools to go and hire talent. Yeah, it's not a wrong strategy, but of course, going and creating your talent pipeline early on is also great, right? Using some of the location flexibility and deployments in the local markets is also great. Looking at uh, different industries depends on what uh, kind of industry you are in, so I'm not aware of that, but you can look at different industries closer to home, which is whatever is possible for you. Look at talent that is available there, provide them relocation support, accommodation, and all of the facilities so that you can get right talent to relocate to that particular facility, right? So talent around that region. Also, try and see there are regional job portals. Today, all job portals are very versatile and language friendly. You should be able to tap into Naukri, LinkedIn, regional job boards that will help you to get all of the vernacular and language support that you need to attract the right talent that you need, right? And also creating those referral networks. Again, the same place, Naukri, LinkedIn will help you get all of that. And also, Neha can speak about the employer branding that can be created on these regional boards, regional events, create visibility boards, build credibility on these boards through going back to the NGOs, etc., where you do your outreach events, etc., and build more talent pipelines. Think many ideas, but yes, some of these are very, very effective.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Harsha. Really helps us understand the whole process and making it more engaging for candidates from remote areas. Now, there's somewhat a similar question, but for employees here. So this question is from Sahil Thakur. I see a similar question from somebody else also. That highlights we have a team with mostly senior employees from 8 to 16 years of experiences. Now, since we are fully remote, it's often difficult to bridge communication gaps and create a comfortable space for open discussion. We have tried activities like Monday calls for open sharing, but engagement is still very low. What strategies would you suggest to improve communication and team bonding in such a remote, senior heavy setup? I think is the keyword here. And this is more on the engagement process. If there's something that either of you would want to share on this.
So I can quickly say one thing and then maybe Neha can add in. Sorry, Neha. I think when you talk about senior heavy setup, I think these seniors can take a plunge and raise their hands. And if they are not, then maybe instigating the senior employees would be a good idea to speak about their stories. Storytelling can be really helpful, especially when again, remote areas or smaller setups. Storytelling, inspiring storytelling, navigating the organization, navigating my career. This is what I have done. Kind of stories really inspire change. I think that helps bringing that on the boards, bringing that into uh, social media, using hashtags, making that viral in your own small setup. That really, actually change is instigated by I use the word, LinkedIn is a very powerful word. I know it is the name of a brand, but it is linked in. When you link in people's stories and it goes to many people's views, it really helps. I think something like that can help, is what I would say.
Sure. Thank you so much for that, Harsha. Would you like to add on to this, Neha?
I completely agree with Harsha on this part. And one more thing which we can do is that if people are working in remote setup and all of the seniors, maybe online also we can have a family get together kind of things, because family is something which connects. Maybe their kids are talking on a call, and I'll tell you one thing which happened in pattern. When we started, it was a COVID time. All of us were working online. So we have this policy that whenever somebody comes in on screen, we will introduce them, even if the meeting is going on with the CEO. We introduce them, and they will just say hi, hello, whatever they are comfortable with, because office is coming to your place. So they are not interrupting your space. Basically, you are interrupting their space. You are working from home. So these small things made a big difference, because I remember one of my colleague, she is having a daughter, and she started complain. Means whenever she is angry with her mom, what she says is, "Neha, Vyas ko bataungi. I will complain to your manager." She becomes so friendly with me. So this workspace become a kind of friendly space. She want to come on call and say hi to me. This small things make a big difference. And when or you can also plan some outings. If not possible that everybody is not in city, maybe those city people, they are not from different team. They can go out for some time, or you can plan something out, because this human touch is needed. You have to make sure that the human touch comes in, and sometimes it's just about giving them a push that start talking.
No, definitely. Thank you so much for that, Neha. Really resonated well, and it's also, the community at the end of the day that we are creating, and it's important that we have that transparency and make this experience better. Thank you so much for that. And with this, we comes to the end of this session today. I see some questions are still there, but we have mostly covered all in our previous discussion also. But if you still happen to, have any questions, we'll be sharing email IDs, we'll be sharing the webinar recording with all of you. We'll be sharing another link that you can join to have those questions answered. So thank you so much once again, and a huge thanks to Neha and Harsha today. You have been great. There's so much that we took from this conversation today, and it was truly a pleasure to have both of you here. And I would personally want to have this one, more sessions with both of you in the future. So thank you so much for taking out the time, joining us today, and sharing those very insightful, meaningful insights and inputs that you shared.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much. And of course, a huge thanks to our audience who's been sending a lot of hearts, really like that, for being here with us today and making this session more engaging, more interesting with those thought-provoking questions that you asked, and also, by participating in our polls. Now, as promised, if you still have any more questions, we'll be happy to connect with you. There's, as you can see on your screen, we have a greytHR community. It's a knowledge sharing platform which is freely available. You can connect with us on this community and ask those questions. We have experts who can answer, and who can help you with more insights, more strategies that you would want to implement in your organization and at your workplaces. And as promised in the beginning, you will get the recording of this webinar. It will also be uploaded on our official YouTube channel. So you can always go there and watch it later. Along with that, we'll also be sharing the email IDs of our experts today, Neha and Harsha. So if you want to connect with them personally, have those discussions, or just maybe connect with them on LinkedIn, as Harsha said, having those LinkedIn connect is very important. So you can also do that. And once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And as promised in the beginning, I wanted to, announce something very exciting. So we all know that this is the ITR filing season, and in ITR filing, generally we have a lot of, questions. We have a lot of doubts that we come across. So you can register for this webinar that we are having on 10th June at 4 p.m. with CA Amarnath Ambati, who will help you simplify your income tax return filing processes. So feel free to register to that webinar. I've shared the webinar registration link with all of you in the chat. We are going to be here for another 5 minutes. You can register, you can share this webinar link with all your colleagues, your employees, your friends who you think would benefit from this session. And then thank you so much once again, and huge thanks to you, Neha and Harsha, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and a great evening to all of you. And we hope to see you very soon in our next session on 10th June. Thank you so much, and have a great evening ahead.